Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's My Games Recruitment Show, where we are going to be talking about profit, lifestyle, and wealth. A PLW rec firm is a stable, high-profit business that doesn't need the owner to work in delivery. And to do that, I have the magnificent man himself, My Games. How are you doing today, big guy?
Very good. That's living the dream, isn't it, really? That is living the dream. PLW, man. That's where it's at. Yes, I'm very good. Do I detect a little bruise on your forehead, Kirsty?
I put a lot of makeup on it. I may and or may not have played Laser Quest or Laser Tag for those Americans watching at the weekend because I'm a fully grown adult who can spend my money however I want. And not only did I pull all the muscles in my thighs because there's a lot of like bending down and shooting up again, I also smashed my head on something in the dark.
Why don't you take a crossbow to a laser crest? I think that'd be fun.
I think that's murder, Dad, actually.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's fair enough. That's probably why I never done it. Then probably thinking about it.
Yeah, okay. Well, let's move swiftly on, shall we? Let's move on to what people are here to talk about, not about.
That went dark very quickly, didn't it? That did go dark.
It spiraled, is what happened. It spiraled real quick. Yeah.
Let's try and lift it back up again then. Yeah.
Okay, so Mike, I briefly touched on what we're going to talk about today, but can you sort of explain at a deeper level what we're talking about today and why we're talking about it?
No, I don't think so.
Well, I'll try harder.
Okay, right. So what we're going to talk about is PLW, this profit, lifestyle, and wealth, which is a style of business. And the reason that we're talking about it, I think it's very important. And you, as I described this to you, you'll probably recognize this or at least relate to it, is that there's two types of businesses. There's perpetual growth recruitment firms, and their basic desire is to be bigger this year than they were last year and bigger next year than they are this year. It's that perpetual growth. The problem with that, there's several problems. It's really hard. That's number one. It's really hard to keep that growth going steadily, because what you end up doing is becoming a yo-yo company. The vast majority grow, shrink, grow, shrink, grow, shrink. There's a whole bunch of reasons for that. It's very stressful. The more people you hire, the more stress there is. I mean, there's no question about that. And also, there's a very good chance that your profits will diminish the bigger your business gets. It's very common. It's called a scissor company. So your turnover goes up, but your profit goes down. So it's like got a lot of downsides to that. Plus, the chances of getting it to the stage where you can sell it, which is normally the exit point for a perpetual growth, is like 0.2, 0.3%. It's very tiny. So it's not a great thing to do, but if you do it and you're successful, you can make a lot of money, you can sell the business, great. On the other end of the spectrum, what we have are solopreneurs, perhaps solopreneur with a VA kicking around. And that's much better because there's nobody else to manage. This is good. Going to manage yourself, I suppose. Yeah, it's a win, isn't it? But the downside there is your income is capped. There's only so much you can earn, really, because there's only so many hours in the week and there's only one of you. If you have a bad revenue month, the whole firm has a bad revenue month because there's only you bringing in revenue. There's no one to offset that with a good month. It can be quite lonely as well. It can be quite tough, quite stressful, quite damaging to mental health as well. So there's a whole bunch of reasons why being a solopreneur isn't what a lot of people refer to it as a lifestyle business. This is a lifestyle business because it's a crap lifestyle. Yeah. You know, you're on 7 days a week, kind of 360
no sick pay.
You go on holiday and you know you've got a thing on. You got to take your laptop and I don't think it's much of a lifestyle, really. I think a lifestyle is earning money and not working for it. This is what I think is a lifestyle.
I think I do.
It's a win. It was always my big thrust there, really. So what we want is a third way, right? So we want a third way, something that's achievable, that you can do, pretty much guaranteed that you can do, something that gives you the kind of lifestyle that you are looking for, and something that at the end of it, without having to sell your business, you can be financially secure from the point that you decide to retire until you pop your clogs. That's what we're looking for. And that is eminently doable. Eminently doable. I've just had a testimonial from someone. It's an email, actually. It wasn't even a testimonial. Someone I worked with about 2.5, 3 years ago just after COVID, and he sent me this lovely message. We're hoping to get him on video, aren't we, Kirsty?
I am. I'm trying to work on him, working it.
But he said we went through this process of building this profit, lifestyle, and wealth business, and he told me how much he was getting passive income now from his investments. I won't tell you, but it was a big number.
It's a good number.
Big number. So he's very happy. So it is doable. It's much more doable than building and selling. That's for damn sure. So what we want to do today is explain what a PLW is, how you can build it. We're also going to look a little later, as we mentioned, on profit. That's a really big thing. That's the enabler. We're going to talk about profit later. So a lot to talk about, and it's really important, I think, if you're a solopreneur or have realized that a perpetual growth business is perhaps not for you.
Yeah. And as we go through, if you do have any questions, queries, pushback, if you want to call Mike out, I do enjoy those so very much. So please do feel free to pop any comments, questions in there.
Can I ask you, just interrupt here, Kirsty? If there's anybody out there watching this who's interested in this PLW, this third way, I'm not saying, you're actually going to go down that route. You might stay a solopreneur, or you might stay perpetual growth. But if this third way is kind of ringing a bell, just put third way in the comments. I'd like to see that. That'd be great.
Just likes to know he's resonating. Okay, Mike. So as we mentioned, later we're going to talk about ways that we can boost profits without raising costs. Very helpful in today's market. But first, let's go a little bit deeper into what a PLW firm actually is. What makes it up?
Okay, let's take one step backwards and then we can come into that. The point of running a business is for the benefit of the shareholders. Okay, that's the deal. That's always the deal. It doesn't matter what it is. A recruitment company is no different. The point is to build a business that gives the shareholders, the owners of that business, and their families. It's not just about, in small businesses, families are always impacted, as you well know, Kirsty.
I do.
By what happens at work. So it's that nucleus, that family gets what it wants from the business. And quite often that's forgotten. You quite often see owners thinking, well, I'll make sacrifices now, put the hours in, perhaps not earn as much, so that the team can earn and have a better quality of life. And one day the payday will come, and very often it doesn't. We've talked about the 3-4-8 rule before. It takes 3 years to establish a viable business, another 4 on top of that to build a high profit business that doesn't need you all the time, and another 8 years on top of that to become independently wealthy. That's what the lifespan of a PLW is. A lot of people stay in that first 3 years, which are bloody hard work, forever. They never shift out of it. Big mistake. And the first step there is non-negotiable goals. Right? Let me explain what they are. Non-negotiable goals are the 4 things that you will get from your limited company. Doesn't matter what you do. So the first one is income. How much money do you want to take out? Because you can take that out and spend it, which is nice. You can take it out and pay off your debts, because by the time you come to retire, you want to be completely debt-free. You can take it out and put it into savings, which is nice. And you can also take it out and put it into your retirement fund, which is incredibly important. So income is extremely important, and you know what that number is. It's not rocket science. You can work out how much that is. The second thing is time. To be precise, free time. So I'm not talking about taking a day off work and being on your laptop or your mobile phone all day. I'm talking about physically and mentally not being at work, being with your family. Because again, Kirsty, I think you know what that's like when somebody, I don't know, say a father figure,
who knows,
is physically with you but mentally not. How does that feel?
It's incredibly noticeable when you know that whoever's on the phone is more of a priority than you are, or at least it feels that way as a child. And it's not the most enjoyable feeling. It worked out well for me, but still, you're very aware of it as a child.
Yeah, very well put. It's not ideal, really. I'm not saying dipping in and out if that's what you want to do, but you need the freedom to have work, not work. So time is a big deal. Satisfaction, job satisfaction is the third goal. So when you go to work, you should only do what they call your business superpower. It's the thing that has a big impact on the business. It's your activities that you like doing, that you're good at, and you want to do more of. Gradually, during that second 4 years, you drop all those non-business superpower, those core activities that you hate. You get rid of them all. You delegate them or you outsource them gradually. And what you're left with is when you go to work is the stuff that really matters, that you can do in a fraction of the time usually, because it's normally drawing on your knowledge and your experience and your network, which is not time consuming. So that's the big thing. Now, the last thing is something that often gets forgotten, and that's wealth. You're going to need to be worth a certain amount of money at a certain point in time when you want the choice to hang up your clogs. Right? That's the deal. You need to work out that amount. This is important. It's called your magic number, your net worth. And then you need to know what you've got to do to build that magic number. And by the way, that magic number doesn't lie. If it says it's £1.5 million and you want to live at that level for that length of time, then it's £1.5 million. That's the deal, right? And that doesn't include your house, by the way. So your net worth is just your retirement funds. So any business owner out there, that's what you need to do right there. You need to build a business that gives you income, free time, job satisfaction, and the wealth that you're looking for. And you need to come first. So that's what a PLW does. So in terms of what it actually is, with a perpetual growth business, so it continually grows. We're not real thought about it. We'll hire some more people next year or win some more clients or target or whatever. There's this kind of, we just want to be bigger. You know, winning is being bigger. For a PLW, winning is having enough. It's a big difference between those two. Winning is having enough. Now, when you've specified your income, free time, so on and so forth, you can then work out the size business that will give you that. You can do it on the back of a fag packet. It doesn't have to be particularly accurate. If it's one or two people adrift one way or the other, doesn't matter really. But you know roughly the size of business you're going to have to build and what it looks like. And that's a key thing because it's probably nowhere near as big as you think. Because if you can build, and there are some, what's the word, prerequisites for this. The first one is you need a stable team. So we don't want comers and goers all the time because that burns money, burns profit. We don't want that at all. What we want are people to come. We've got a good work ethic. We've got the right kind of people. We want them to join and stay and get better and better, because the more that you keep a team together, the more productive it becomes, and therefore profitable it becomes. What do they say, Kirsty? The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Is that to say, really? Well, that's what a team is. The team is going to be greater than just a bunch of individuals working separately, which is sadly what this work from home malarkey does, I'm afraid. But if you can build a team, then it will do the work for you. So you need that stable team. Also, you need to be exceptional at delivery, like really good at delivery, because delivery is what the client buys. If you think about recruitment, what the client actually buys is two things from you. Number one, it buys a shortlist. They want to see a shortlist. They want to be able to choose anyone on that shortlist and offer them a job. And then number two, if they offer someone a job, they want that person to take that job. Those are your goals. That's all you do. Shortlist, acceptance, start, right? So you need to be excellent at that. And that's not some sort of esoteric flowery, I think I am, I know I am. No. You need to be able to prove it in numbers, right? Because if you can do that, if the clients really like what you do, they'll use you more. If they go from one company to another, they leave and go to another client, then you'll go with them, no doubt. They'll put you ahead of everybody else. And that's where the money is, because it's about profit. Talk about profit later. It's all about profit, because with profit, you can spend it, or you can reinvest it to your business. You can invest for your future. So that's really what it's about, Kirsty.
Okay. All right. So we do have to move on now. So Mike, now you've done this twice. You've sat at a kitchen table, either with a business partner or by yourself, looking in the mirror and said, I'm going to start a business, right? And imagine you're one of those people and you want to start a PLW, profit and lifestyle wealth business. What do I do? What do I do in order to build it?
Okay, so people watching this that are thinking this could be the third way, could be the way for them. Obviously, they don't want to grow a massive business because it's management and headaches and so on and so forth. They do want to build a stable team because the longer you keep someone employed, the less management they need normally. So that's really good for people that don't want to do management. But they might have people already in the business. If they're a solopreneur, it's not difficult because as a solopreneur, your first hire is going to be somebody who can do seek and match and phone and filter, those two delivery activities. They can go out and find potential candidates, and you can use some great software for that these days. It's not ideal, but it saves time. Products like Juicebox, for example, can even mean you don't have to take recruiter light license, because Juicebox accesses LinkedIn anyway, saves you a whole load of dosh there. But whatever, but it finds candidates and then rings them up and does that pre-checking, because those two activities amount to about 60 to 70% of the whole time spent in delivery. That's a big chunk of time that's freed up for you to do other things. So I think the first hire would be that. If you've got people in place, then the chances are you're going to need to do a little audit of them and decide who are these people you want to keep and who not. I know it sounds terrible, little cold-hearted, but it's necessary. Mm-hmm. You need to decide who can be in the team, who can't, because it's going to be a small team. Mm-hmm. And then if you're a solopreneur, the second hire you make probably would be someone onshore, but to be able to take on some of the client-facing activities off you. So what I'm saying is that you develop this gradually, but you start by getting rid of the things that you don't like doing that other people can do, and it's usually resourcing. And then you bring someone else in who can do the front end, the vacancy, and the back end, produce the short list from the medium list and present that to the client and close the deal. So there's a little bit more to it than that, but that's pretty much it. That's how it works.
Okay. So essentially what you're saying is you remove yourself from the time-consuming tasks that can be done by other people, that you can train up other people who cost a little bit less than you or have less unique genius than you, and you get yourself out of delivery. So if I've done that, then what is it that me as an owner of my PLW business, what is it that I'm actually spending my time focusing on?
Okay. So first of all, everything happens gradually. There's a crossover points. Now, I believe in hiring offshore resources, phone and filter, South Africa particularly. And the reason I do that is that on average, they stay longer doing the same role. You hire in the UK, not everybody, but people come in as a resource and then they want to be a recruitment consultant, then they want to be 360 and blah, blah, blah. Then they want to do BD, whatever it is. They want to constantly move forward. If you're paying someone £2,000 or £3,000 a month in South Africa, that's a big wage. That's a middle class wage. It's like a doctor or something, right? So they're kind of cool. They're okay doing that. They set up, they do it, and they want to move their jobs less. Every time somebody swaps from one role to another, costs you money, lost productivity, training cost, and then they might not work out anyway. So the more you can keep people in the same role, the better. So gradually this will happen. They'll take away from you. Hire someone in the UK, no BD required. You just look after the clients that we've got. Take the vacancies, you produce a short list, you make the placement, right? That's the deal. So as this is happening, what you do is gravitate towards client care. So looking after the clients that you've got. And that doesn't mean taking vacancies, that's account management. So other people can do that. But it means looking after people and making sure their relationships are strong. That's really important. And then winning new clients. Now, I'll be clear on this. Whenever I say strategic BD, owners say, I don't want to do BD. They're confusing strategic and tactical BD. Tactical BD is vacancy scraping, gives a job. And who would want to do that? You're never going to grow a business doing that. It's really hard to grow a business doing that. What you actually want to do is win high-value clients that have a steady stream of vacancies coming out of them, and other people can process those vacancies. So your job is to become really good at strategic BD. I mean, most owners are anyway, so that's not too bad. But your job is to become really good at strategic BD and client care. And then the other area, obviously, you've got governance, running the business. And then you've got working on the business as well. You've got strategy, you've got investing time in the team, training them, looking after them. So you're gradually moving out of the nitty-gritty of the business into a higher position, which takes a lot less time for you. So if you want more time back, you can have it.
Yeah, and headspace, not just like actual time in the business. It takes the time away from headspace. So let me just explain this back to you, Mike, and you can see if I've got it right. So delivery is slowly and meticulously given to a team, whether that's onshore, offshore, mixture of both. During that time, you spend your focus on making sure that your current clients are well looked after, that they're happy, that the service that they're getting is what they want, that you're making sure that your team is hitting all the metrics that you need them to. You're also working on building your pipeline through strategic BD, looking at clients who you want to work with, who are your kind of clients, who are given the roles that you want at the level that you want, and you are building relationships in order to make that happen, as well as the governance, making sure that when we talked about those non-negotiable goals, the income, the time, the satisfaction, and the wealth, that income and wealth is where it needs. The business is giving you those goals, so you're making sure that okay, we're going in the right direction.
And you're paying your tax on time, and you know sticking to the rules, and yada yada yada. All running the business, people know that. Sending invoices out, chasing money, you know, the usual malarkey.
That kind of stuff. And so that, as an owner, is what you're spending your time doing. The stuff that really only you can do.
Yeah, I mean, you might part of the the third non-negotiable goal is job satisfaction. If you don't like doing some of those things, get someone else to do them. But really, that's normally what happens in my experience. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Now, in a second, we're going to talk about. You mentioned boosting profits without raising costs. So in a second, we're going to do that, and I'm looking forward to it. But before then, it's time for a message from our sponsor, which is still, in fact, us. We are still our own sponsor.
Yeah, what's got two thumbs and sponsors the Mike Ames Recruitment Show? This guy. Yeah, okay, right. So if you're interested in PLW, if that's the thing that you might like to know more about before you make any decisions, we run these online workshops. And let me give you a heads up. So it is about the focus of the workshop is to build a high profit business. High profit is everything, because you'll see in a minute, is the key to everything. And I mean net profit. I don't mean gross profit or EBITDA. So we want a high net profit, and it doesn't depend on you for the day to day. Now, the next one that we have is on the 14th of April. It's from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. UK time. A maximum of 8 spaces, because this is a workshop and it's free of charge. Now, this is the third one. We only intended to do one of these. We do various workshops, as you all know. This is the third one. The other two filled up. The first one filled up real quick. Mm-hmm. It did. The second one we filled already. This is the third one. And I don't think we're going to run another one immediately after this. So this is the last chance for a while. It's a really good workshop. So if you'd like to know more about it, we have a one-pager that explains all the details, logistics, the agenda, yada, yada, yada. If you'd like to get access to that one-pager, just comment PLW workshop below. Or if you're watching a recording of this or would prefer not to publicize that you're interested in the PLW workshop, then you can just direct message me, PLW workshop on LinkedIn, and we will send you that one pager. I would say this, but I think it's a really good workshop, and we get some fantastic testimonials from it, which, by the way, if you're interested, I'm very happy to send those to you. So that's it, Kirsty. Shall we get on with the show?
I think so. Yes, I'm very excited about it. So this is what we want, Mike. Now, people are watching this and they're thinking, Mike, do you know what I want to do? I want to boost my profits, but I don't want to spend any more in order to do it. How can I do that, Michael?
Let's dig into that a little bit first, though, right? Because sometimes I talk to owners of recruitment firms and I say, what do you want to do next year? So, well, you're going to hire another 2 consultants, or we're going to open a new office. I don't think people are saying that now, actually, but, we're going to target a new market, whatever it is. That is the wrong answer. The right answer is I'm going to make this much net profit. That's what I'm going to do. Now, that may or may not involve hiring another 2 recruitment consultants or, target a new market or whatever. It may or may not. But the point is the focus is on net profit. I want to be very clear what I mean by net profit, right? So obviously we know what gross profit is. Everyone knows what that is, GP. It's the difference between cost and sale, really. Net profit is taking out all the overheads, everything, the tax, the whole 9 yards, the cost of interest on your loans that you use, everything is taken out. You could take that money out and spend it. That's what we're focused on. Now, EBITDA is bigger than that, because what EBITDA is you add back the tax and the interest and the depreciation. Not that too many recruitment companies have depreciation, really, but certainly they pay tax and they pay interest. So you add that back. So EBITDA is bigger, and that's what the valuation of a business is worked out on. But we're interested in taking all those things out, and we want net profit because we can spend that. So that is the focus on everything. Because let's be very clear, you can spend it on yourself. You can have it as income. You can invest it in your funds. You can pay off your debts. You can put it in the bank for a rainy day. Or you can, if you want, reinvest it into the business and hire some people or buy some software. It's all about net profit. Okay, so that's the first thing to say. In terms of boosting it, first of all, you have to measure how efficient you really are. So if you imagine your business is like a machine, you've got to know its maximum capacity. And what we're talking about, it's maximum capacity to make placements and therefore make money. Very often a team is running nowhere near maximum capacity. And because people aren't delivering the profit that you expect, and do you know what we do? We just hire someone else. So you need to focus in on that team and understand what maximum capacity is. And there are numbers that tell you that. There are ways to measure that, right? You need to measure that maximum capacity. And then you need to make sure the team gets very close up to it. I always think you really want to be about kind of 90, 85, 90% of maximum capacity, because that means you can react to opportunities without overheating, and people don't get stressed out, and service levels don't drop, and yada, yada, yada. But you choose how hot you want to run your business. But that's really important, because now when we're going to give you those 3 ways in a minute that you can boost those profits. Now what we're doing is saying, well, we can't boost the profits anymore. We are as efficient as we can be. We need to hire someone else because we haven't got the company where we need it to be yet to give us what we want from it. It's a very different way of looking at business, and it's a mature way, and it's the right way, quite frankly. So let's bring that first one up then, Kirsty. Now, I know this sounds, oh, well done, Mike. Yeah, I was hoping for something a bit more insightful.
Yeah, just increase your fees, of course.
Well, there's different ways of doing that, obviously. The most obvious and the easiest way to do it is to strike on bigger roles. So, they say a fish rots from the head down. Well, the recruitment industry is going to rot from the tail up. Those lower level commodity jobs are the ones that are going to go first with AI driven. They are. If you're doing 4 and 5 grand fees, you need to get out of there quickly. You need to go north. You need not less than 10 grand, 10 to 15 grand if you can, which means taking on bigger roles. That's what that means, right? So that's the best way to increase your fees. I mean, come on, it's not that much extra effort to place someone and get a 6 grand fee than a 10 grand fee. The only difference is £4,000 extra revenue for that effort. And by the way, 80% of that extra revenue straight to the bottom line, because you just got to pay a bit of commission out of it. The rest is your money. Okay, so lifting fees, you can negotiate your margins, and usually if you can justify it with a very strong product offering, you can perhaps lift your fees, the percentages that you charge, or if you fix price, you can lift that. And you should try for sure, because again, any money that you bring in which doesn't involve any extra cost is pretty much Bunt's money, so we want that. So that's number 1, is to look at those fees and make sure they're going north. Number 2
is be selective, and so improve your fill rate.
Fill rate is everything. It's the single most important metric, I think, in a business, because what fill rate what it recognizes is the return on investment. This is how much time we're putting into a vacancy, or all the vacancies we're working on, and this is how many of those vacancies ended up in a fee. It's very important, and your obsession should be to increase fill rate, and that's about being selective. It's about picking vacancies that that you can fill within a reasonable time and make a reasonable amount of money from. It's about working with hiring managers that are on your side, as opposed to those working against you. And I think it's really important to drill down on this. I know we haven't got much time, but I think it's really important to drill down onto this, Kirsty, because so much time and effort is spent on vacancies that you can't convert, or spend ages and ages and ages converting, or working with hiring managers to just dick you around. They change their mind, or they don't look at CVs, or they don't give you feedback, or they're putting it out to a blooming 100 agencies or something. Oh man, you know. And I know this takes time. This doesn't happen overnight. That's why it takes 4 years, right, to do this, to move from a viable business to a PLW, fully PLW finished business. But you need to do this because all of this affects net profit. And the last thing, obviously, in being selective is to work non-contingent roles. Now, my favorite are exclusive. I think in retained, if that's your space and you're good at it and you can make that work, great, go for it, because you're going to get a fill rate of 98%. If you're not, then taking on pieces of work that you have got to deliver, you deliver a shortlist and it's not right, you've got to go over and do it all over again. So you're doubling the effort to make a placement, or trebling the effort in some cases I've seen over the years. So you be very careful. With exclusive, you just get a deposit up front. If you then present a credible shortlist, you keep the deposit, and then you get the rest of the money when they take someone on. So I much prefer exclusive, because it's much easier for you to manage. But you be the judge of that. So that's the second one. Be selective.
I think the big thing of this as well is, if you're talking about having a team and you want the team to be motivated and the team to stay, if the team is constantly trying to work on roles that they have no chance of filling, that is demotivating as well. So making sure that your fill rate, they're working on jobs they're likely to fill, they're likely to get their commission, you know, they have talking to the similar kind of people each time, they have people in their head when something comes in, it's going to make them happier, which in course will make them more efficient and better, and so on.
That's a whole different show, really. We could talk about that in a whole different show, because it's really important to recognize that this isn't easy. I know that, but you can do it. If you come on the workshop, we'll go into this into a lot more depth, obviously, because we want you to understand how this works. But you have to get the maximum return on the investment that you make in salaries and commission. Yeah. And of course, if you do that, you can be a lot more generous on what you pay people in bonuses, because you're making a shed load more cash, which means people are much more likely to stay and be happy in the role that you are giving them. So this all links up, really. Anyway,
which leads into actually our third one, which is improved team efficiency.
Yeah, obviously, if you're working on roles that you can fill, that's efficient, obviously. And you're working with good hiring managers, that's efficient. Your fill rate is high, that's efficient. But what we're talking about here is making your people better at delivery. That's really what we're talking about. Those different stages of delivery through training and tools and data, so that you can measure things, measure how good people are, and then a proper active management framework that goes all around that. You can basically get your team as a whole, excuse me, to be more and more efficient. It takes less effort to put a bum on a seat and make some money. It's what it's all about. But you can't just wing it. Like, training on its own doesn't work. I read a study from the University of Middlesex that said in some cases only 4% of training is adopted. So you spend £100 training somebody in something, right? 96%, £96 of that is wasted, because they only retain and absorb and adopt. 4%. Now that's only the worst case here. There are other bits coming through that where they retain more. But what I'm saying is, you can't just train on its own. You need to coach. You need to drill. Drilling is very important. The drill simply means you make people go over it over and over and over again, like the army drill soldiers. They do it so that you just do it. You don't need to think about it. It's automatic. Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I think there's a big piece around making your people more and more efficient. And because you've got numbers there to tell you how efficient they are, you can see whether everything's going in the right direction. Yeah. And if there's somebody who's lagging behind, you can put more effort into that person. Or maybe that person would be better off pursuing their career at one of your competitors. Maybe
Yeah.
that would be better.
And I think with this one, again, the reinforcement of a stable team, not only a stable team of people not leaving, because obviously every time someone leaves, you then have to start from scratch again to get them up to, you know, the way that your organization works, but also not promoting people out of resourcing, which is why sometimes offshore teams can be so effective, because they stay in resourcing and become hugely effective. You don't have to retrain because they're now a consultant or whatever it might be. So there's multiple things that go into team efficiency.
I mean, if you organize it properly, this is called a layered model, obviously. In the layered model, you can pay the resources pretty much the same as you can the account managers, because in fact, we've got one of our clients, their resources earn over £100,000 a year. Obviously, they're doing big fees, they're a search company, but nonetheless, they value what people do in that area. If you can find people and all they want to do is that, and they get better and better and better at it, you'll make more and more money. And you can see the value of a really good researcher is equal to somebody that can take a vacancy off a warm client and then present some CVs at the end. So I'm oversimplifying that a little bit, but for effect, you know. But the point I'm trying to make is that you've got to think a little differently in a PLW, but the rewards are so great that it's well worth doing that.
Okay, all right. So hopefully we've boosted our profits. Now, Mike, you've mentioned a couple of times that you will stop as a PLW. You stop growing when the business is big enough.
Yeah.
What does that mean? How do I know that the business is big enough? Because surely the bigger the money,
well,
you know.
There's two ways to look at this.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, your brother, Peter, not your brother Thomas, because he's rubbish and sells coconut for a living, but your brother Peter has this whiz-bang spreadsheet, which I really love. If there are any clients watching this and you haven't done this with him, sit down with him and let him model out your business. It's awesome, right? It tells you pretty much. It takes a load of data like your average fee and a whole bunch of stuff like the number of placements it would make and your costs that you put into the business. And it works out how big your business needs to be in order to deliver your non-negotiable goals. It's pretty good, actually. If you don't want to do that, then my advice would be to take what you currently make from your business and just pro-rata it up. Just pro-rata it up. You know, so if you make £150,000 net now and you need 300, double the size of your team. In reality, you don't need to do that because almost certainly you're not running at maximum efficiency right now. Your productivity is below what it could be. So, of course, if you increase your productivity, the number of placements that you make increases, but more importantly, your net profit goes through the roof because you're not spending any more money to get that extra revenue. So you need to just figure it out. It's not that. We could actually produce a generic one, really. You know, you're looking, the average person who wants to retire when they're 60 is looking for a fund of about £1.5 million. They're between £1 and £1.5 million in all your investment portfolio. And so if you can make
not including your house, by the way.
Not including your house, no.
Yeah.
Because that's going to go on your retirement home, quite frankly. Mm-hmm. Just so as you know, Kirsty.
Yeah.
I'm going to a retirement home where they serve Chardonnay at lunch. It's going to be good. But the other thing attached to this on this whole kind of thing of investment is that, you know, you really need to understand those numbers and where this the size of the business you need to generate that revenue and get that across. And if you do that, it's absolutely fine. Okay.
And sort of linked to that, you have also mentioned this retirement pot a couple of times. Now, if you're selling your business, then it's obvious where that retirement pot comes from. It comes from this big lump of money that the people give me and I go, yay, and go all the way to the bank and laugh and dance. If I'm not selling my business, where is that retirement pot coming from?
Let's split that up. And we've got a bit of time. I'll just spend a little bit of time on this. So the chances of having a perpetual growth business that reaches the sale value with the EBIT's big enough and the whole thing works out pretty slim. Got to be honest with you.
Especially nowadays with AI.
Especially nowadays, yeah. So it does happen. I don't want to be all negative, but I think last year, there was about 103 recruitment companies out of 35,000 that ended in a sale or an MBO. However, two things. If you grow a profit lifestyle and wealth business, so it's high profit, probably niche, very efficient, doesn't need you all the time, there's a very good chance that somebody will buy that off you or that you can sell it to your team. as an MBO. There's a very good chance of that because that's what people are looking for. So it's no guarantees, but that's what we're looking for. But really what we want to do is make enough profit that we can spend on everything else that we want to spend on our lifestyle and putting some savings away for a rainy day and, paying off our debts and still have plenty left over to put into our retirement fund. Now, that's your pension. I think you can put 40 grand a year in pension. I haven't really contributed my pension for years now. I think you can put about 40 grand a year in, and you can backdate that 3 years or something. I'm not familiar with it, but you can use your pension fund, but that's not going to be enough. So you're going to need to put money in other things, in property. I'm a big fan of index funds, but you choose really. Right? But you're building up that fund. And the thing I like about it is every year you look at your retirement fund value and it's gone up. It's gone up because you're putting money into it. And of course, compound interest is having an effect as well. So the idea is to make enough money that you can fill out your pension fund and then take money out and buy other types of investments as well. And when it says 8 years, but actually you're going to be doing that during perhaps not the first 3 years, but the next 4 years as you're building your PLW, then you should also be putting some money away as well. So it's doable. I'm telling you now, doable.
Okay. All right. Okay. So Mike, we've spoken a lot about kind of how we can do this, how we can build it. And in a second, I'm going to come to you for your top tip for those people who are watching and thinking this PLW sounds like a win for me. I'm going to do that. But before then, Mike, can we talk about our next guest? It's a fan favorite. We've got Nitin back.
Nitin's coming on the show. Yeah. Now I tell you, don't go, oh no, AI, I'm not watching that. No. Right. The thing is, there's a lot of people using AI and there's a big push with AI in terms of BD, like emailing stuff out that it's generated. Good luck with that then. And also, obviously, fulfillment, the actual delivery part of the business to find people and communicate with them. And that's great. All in favor of that. But if that floats your boat. But what we're going to drill into is how can we use AI in a way that very few people are doing, according to Nitin. He's described it to me and he's right. Very few people are doing it, but it's massively effective. We're going to talk about some of the tools that you probably already have and some of the tools that you might like to get your hands on and what you can do with that to really boost your marketing and make your sales easier. So it's going to be a great show, Kirsten.
Yeah, well, it's going to be really practical. Today's has been a bit more theory, thinking, stuff like that. Nitin comes, he's practical. He's a fan favorite for a reason. We love him. Okay.
We love him.
All right. Okay. So, Mike, people have been listening to this today and they like the idea of a PLW. They think, yeah, this is going to be the future for me. What is the first thing that they need to do in order to get one of these businesses?
Well, I've said this on a few shows because it's the root of everything. If you've got to define your non-negotiable goals, it is your core mission. It's what that business is running for. You don't, when I say core mission, I don't think you should put it on your website. I'd like to be rich. Can you help me? Don't know that's going to work. But I think that it for you and your family, this is something you can do with your wife or your husband or whatever. And you can say, well, how much money do we need then? What do we want? How do we live on? And therefore I know how much I've got to make because I've got to pay tax on that to get it out. How fast do we want to pay off our mortgage or our other debts? What do we need to do around that? How much do I want to invest in the business? Now, the deal is, here's the deal. Don't try and be too ambitious. So say you're taking 100 grand out now and you think, well, next year I want to take 200 grand. Yeah, that's great. But the pressure on you in this market would be enormous. So realistically, how much more in the next iteration of your business in the next year do you want to do? And it's the same with things like your free time. How much free time do you want? Do you want to be working a 9-day fortnight? Do you want to be taking 6 weeks, 10 weeks off? I don't know. You work with your family to decide what that is. And you can spend that time on yourself and your family. Or you might say, if you're in the first 3 years, no, I've got to work all the hours that God sends. Okay, that's cool. But gradually that time needs to come down because it'll just wear you out otherwise. I promise. Burns you out, man. And then the same with job satisfaction. The trick there is to write a note of the things that you'd like to get rid of So you're not defining the perfect job, because that doesn't work. What you do is you say, well, okay, this thing, I hate doing invoicing. I do the invoicing. I hate doing that. I want to get rid of that. Or I hate having to do searches to get candidates. I want someone else to do that for me. Whatever it is that you want to get rid of, you write it down, and then you begin to think about ways that you can do that. And your wealth is that once you've got your magic number, it tells you how much you need to invest each year. So, okay, you might not be able to jump straight to that in one fell swoop in 1 year, but you know where you're going with this. And so by doing that, it begins to shape your business, shape your thinking, and moves you from being a recruiter running a firm to being a business owner that does recruitment. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where you need to be.
And also, it makes sure that the business actually works for you and not just the other way around. You're not just working for a business. Your business, you started because you wanted to run it your way and get all the benefits. It actually makes sure it stays on track and doesn't become something that you look back on 10 years later and think, how did I get here? So I like that. Okay, Mike, we have come to the end of the show. Perfect timing by me, I have to say. It's bang on 1 o'clock. So do you want to say, first of all, I want to say thank you to the audience. Thank you for watching. We always love it when you guys come. Thank you very much to Mike, just for being a legend and sharing with us all that goes on in his brain today.
Let me tell you, Kirsty, this is something that, this is going to sound a bit soppy now, but this is in my heart. I just want people to get what they want from their business. I've seen so many recruiters disappointed, so many surprise, panic, and blame later on in life in that this business has not done for them what they wanted it to do. And I really want people to take a hold of this and say, no, I'm going to build a business that serves me and my family. So if I've got a little bit, emotion about the whole thing, that's why.
Oh no, I admit too, as a child who had a father who didn't create a PLW at the time, I feel very strongly that I want everybody else to do that.
I paid a big price for that. Thank God it paid off in the end. That would have been embarrassing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would have been awkward otherwise. But yes, so thank you very much, guys, and we'll see you in 2 weeks with Nick.
Yeah, thank you all, and thank you, Kirsty. See you next time.